When Park, South Korea's military dictator, was assassinated in 1979, civil unrest ensued and martial law was imposed. Recently unionized workers protested their working conditions. Greater democratization was called for, and the increasingly authoritarian government responded in the traditional fashion. On 18 May 1980, protesting students at Jeonnam University were fired upon and beaten by government troops. Outrage was widespread and citizens took to the streets in solidarity. Special forces were sent in, but rather than calming the situation, the soldiers spurred on to ever greater acts of brutality by their superiors, clubbed and bayonetted students, and fired live rounds into the crowds. By 27 May, it was over. Figures for civilian deaths remain disputed, running anywhere between the military statistics of 200 and the 2000 estimated by some foreign press reports. What is not disputed is the appalling cruelty inflicted on those tortured by police in the aftermath, the suffering of the many bereaved, and the long shadow the uprising still casts across the South Korean consciousness. Human Acts by Han Kang and translated by Deborah Smith was written in the author's characteristically poetic, succinct style. Rather than discussing the heavy, somber ramifications of the Gwangju Uprising or using titillating language, Han Kang chose to portray the grief of the individual people in concise, boiled-down style. To appear authentic, the testimonies are offered individually across different chapters, by different narrators in different styles and in different forms. The characters in Human Acts are average citizens. The novel illustrates how these people respond to the sudden tragedy that befell them. Rather than reenacting the historical incident, the author chose to place the perspectives squarely on the people who endured the horrific accident and the trauma they have had to carry since. A victim of the torture carried out during the 1980 Gwangju Uprising in South Korea, remarks of the Korean platoons who had previously committed atrocities in Vietnam. Some of those who came to slaughter us did so with the memory of those previous times. Later, we are reminded of a remark made by President Park Chung-hee's bodyguard. The Cambodian government killed another 2 million of theirs. There is nothing stopping us from doing the same. Human Acts asks fundamental questions about the still open wounds inflicted by state violence and human brutality. In the book, it is asked, what does it mean to be human? What should we do to make sure humans don't become something? This question is central to the novel. The brutal murder of a 15-year-old boy during the 1980 Gwangju Uprising becomes the connective thread between the isolated characters of this emotionally harrowing novel. By focusing on the logistics of cataloging the bodies, Han lulls us into the horror, and before we know it, we are there, inside the gymnasium. Awestruck by the amount of pain humans can inflict on one another, and, in the obverse, the dignity with which the volunteers wash and care for the dead. In essence, we witness the impossibly large spectrum of humanity and wonder how it is that one end could be so different from the other. After we are presented with the corpse of the boy's friend, lying in a stack of bodies left to rot in the heat, Han shifts forward to 1985 and an editor struggling to maneuver a book on the subject past the censor. In a series of encounters, she then moves to 1990 when a prisoner is persuaded to relive the horrors of his torture for the sake of an academic's thesis. In 2002, a former factory girl recounts her brutalization at the hands of the torturers and the estrangement from her own humanity she has struggled with ever since. In 2010, Dong Ho's mother speaks of the emotional legacy of the loss and the struggle for justice. Finally, the writer writes of her own journey into the novel and the terrible price of atrocity. Enjoy the book. If you enjoyed the video, then please like and share this video, do subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell icon.